So today you'll continue that meditation where you focus your attention inwards. You don't think about what you see, hear, smell, taste or touch. You don't think about memories about the past or imagination of the future. Your mind is focused within. You are aware of the body, how the body feels, your emotional mood, whether the emotions are agitated or whether it is calmed. Thoughts that arise in the mind concerning the past, present, or the future. It is the thought that you think that influences the emotional state. That you'll begin to realize as you keep focusing on the body and the mind. Be aware of the breathing, how the body feels as the breath comes in, how the body feels as the breath goes out. You don't pull the breath in or push the breath out. You let it go on in the natural way, and you are aware of the breathing in and breathing out, and how the body feels as you breathe in, as you breathe out. You are not focusing on the nose tip or the abdomen or any other one particular place. You are generally aware of the whole body and how the body feels. You are aware of the breath when it is a slow breath or a long breath. Do we experience the feeling or feel the experience? What is feeling and what is experience? We have to get into a definition of these two words, feeling and experience. Now, I don't know why you asked this question. Now with our eyes we see something. That seeing is an experience. Hearing is an experience with the ear. Smelling is an experience. Tasting is an experience. When we touch, we begin to feel. But there is also another thing. When we see something, if it is pleasant, that is a feeling. Now here the Buddha uses two words. That is Vedana and Sanya. Sanya is, I think, what is being called experience. That is seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching. And feeling is the Vedana. These two things come together. Now when we see colors. It may be red, or it may be blue, or it may be white. These are colors. So color is sanya. And if it is pleasant, if the color can be pleasant or the color can be unpleasant. For example, blue or red can be seen as pleasant. Something like black may be seen as unpleasant. So the colors can be pleasant or unpleasant, and that is what we call the feeling. So we both happen at the same time. So what is, why do you ask this question, and what is it that the problem? Huh? Yeah.
What I see, Bhante, what I see to ask this question is the process. The process of feeling arises because of a condition. And the condition is availability of light, availability of electromagnetic waves like sanya. Sanya brings about the sensation to brings ripples to the senses. by waves, sound waves, ice, and basically when I'm doing my meditation, I kind of like try to break deeper into sanya, and then I see Vedana having a high level of affective feelings, coming up to emotions, coming up to form. And when I see Sanya, what I find in Sanya is a lot to do with current, electric waves, electricity, and frequency, as well as construction. So in that Sanya, what I see is I see creation. I see the ability to bring a certain thought, mental wave, see a certain level of color separation, and then build something. So in that sanya, what I find, I see a lot of forms coming up into concepts, and that comes to...
No, the important thing is the feeling. You react to the feeling. It is the Vedana, which is the feeling, that leads to the Tanha. Tanha is the reaction to the feeling. So the color is simply seen, and Vedana makes you react to what you see. So, and when the reaction comes, the experience is divided into two, the objective and the subjective. Because the reaction is a subjective experience. The seeing is an objective experience. The feeling is an objective experience.
There are two types of feelings. There are two types of feelings. One is like a mental feeling through memory or imagination. It can also arise feelings in a body. And another side is a physical feeling. Physical feeling as in like if someone pokes you or punches you, there you can feel pain. So
what is the feeling?
Or physical feeling. Physical feeling.
The physical feeling, yeah.
And the other side of sanya, you can see a mental feeling, a feeling of like sorrow, agony, exhaustion, depression. Yeah. So that's two different sides to this coin. But is sanya and vedana interchangeable? As in like it can stand alone as separate?
No, sanya and vedana always go together. Sanya and vedana always go together. And so you react to the vedana.
Yes.
Yeah. Sanya and vedana you can't separate. They always go together.
They go together. Thank you, Bhante.
Yeah. Okay. Now another one. When we practice metta, by first wishing ourselves to be well and broadening our interest for all beings without exception, when we practice karuna and compassion, we direct our sympathy to 5 levels of discomfort and 5 levels of comfort. So what are you talking about? To develop the concern about how deeply one is interested in the welfare of others beings. This is mainly by recitation in mind. Can karuna and mudita be cultivated in action other than relations, recitations? For example, compassion is action by reaching out to help others who are really suffering. Now the important thing is this meditation that we are talking about is a thought. We have to understand the difference between a thought and an action. So before we act, we have to cultivate the thought. So when we meditate, we are cultivating the thought. So when the thought is properly cultivated and developed, it can lead to the proper action. You can't be doing both. You see, if you are doing meditation, that is meditation. You are sitting somewhere and meditating, or even standing somewhere and meditating. That is simply thinking. Meditation is about thinking. Action is something else. So before we begin to act, we are cultivating the mind by thinking. That is the meaning of meditation. So we can't mix the two. So that is what we have to. Who is the one who wrote this? No owner for that, huh? Can the world get rid of material poverty? That, of course, what is material poverty? That you will have to consult a politician, I think. Should education be both intellectual and experiential? What is what is intellectual and experiential. It is very important to understand the words that you are using. I think you are referring to theoretical and practical. What you call intellectual is theoretical and experiential is practical. So, the education can be done in both ways. You see? So, normally education is done in both ways. If you go to learn physics or chemistry, you have these both ways of education, theoretical as well as practical. What is the most difficult thing for humans? Well, that you have to think about it. Most difficult thing for human first, before you humans, you try to find out for yourself. What is the most difficult thing for you to do? That is not an important question, I think. So these are unimportant questions, how I see it. That the important thing is, before you go to solve the political problems or even problems outside in the world, you have to solve the problem inside you, which is your thinking. So this thing called meditation is to solve your thinking problem. So when the thinking is done in the proper way, the action part will be going on properly. When the thinking is done in the wrong way, the action will go in the wrong direction. This is why we have to understand this chitta mano. Mano is the thinking part, and chitta is the emotional part, and it is the emotional part that leads to action. When the emotions are aroused, according to the arousal of the emotion, we begin to act. But the arousal of emotion depends on the way we think. That is the important thing to understand. So we have to think in the proper way first. And it is only by thinking in the proper way that we can think about the emotional state. So our meditation that we are doing is mainly learning to gain control over the emotion. It is the emotion that is creating all the problems. So the important thing is to calm the mind And it is only when the mind is calmed and the body is relaxed that we begin to act in the proper way by thinking in the right way. So it is the thinking part that should control the emotional and the action part. That is the important thing. So the purpose of our meditation is to think in the right way and act in the right way. But the action depends on the emotional state. So this is why we have to gain control over the emotions. So the meditation is mainly focused on the emotional state. So, first we learn to control our behavior. That is what is called sila. And then we begin to control the emotional state. That is to calm the mind and relax the body. And that is called samadhi. It is only when the mind is calmed that we can begin to think in the proper way. So therefore we have to start calming the mind, and when the mind is calmed, we can think in the proper way. Although the thinking is the main thing that we have to do, we have to start from the other end. But even to start from the other end, we need proper thinking. And that proper thinking that starts is what is called samma ditthi, the right perspective, which is what the Buddha gives us. When we are not able to think, the Buddha provides the thinking, and that is samma ditthi. And when the Buddha provides the thinking, then we learn to think in that way, and then we begin to act in the right way. And after acting in the right way, we have to get into the calming of the mind, which is samadhi. This is why the supernormal eightfold way begins with samma ditthi. So the starting point is samma ditthi, which leads to the Samma Vacha, Samma Kammanta, Samma Ajiva, being directed in the right way. That is the Sila. And from there we get into the practice of Samadhi. And Samadhi leads to Panya, gaining insight. So it's very important to understand this in the proper way, and if we don't understand it in the proper way, we cannot get into this. So any other questions or problems? Yeah? What is that? This is a big problem. During meditation, pain arises in the knee, followed by numbness in the feet, and also body feeling hot. How to overcome three things at the same time? Well, one method is to take a pill. There are these pills that will help you. And if there is pain, there are some people who are able to be there and not react to the pain. That is one method. And the other is, if the pain comes when you are seated, you can try to stand and see whether the pain goes away. Or you can move your body in such a way that the pain disappears. But there are several methods of dealing with the pain. And if everything fails, then you have to take the pill. You see? So otherwise, sometimes if you take a deep breath and relax the body, the pain can disappear with that. So the main thing is to continue the meditation. Yeah.
Bhante, the pain persists because
Huh?
the pain persists because you personalize it and you give it room to.
If the pain persists,
No, the pain persists because we personalize it and focus on it, and then it becomes bigger and bigger.
personalizing the pain.
Yeah, creates a larger, bigger level.
Yeah, the moment you think of the pain and think of yourself as a person, and there is the pain that is going against you, then you will be fighting. So, then in that case, practice the metta meditation and you will stop fighting with the pain. So you should not. Our problem is that one problem is the pain that you cannot avoid. But pain is an impermanent thing. So when it appears, it is unpleasant. But when it goes away, it is pleasant. But pleasure is also bringing unhappiness. When the pleasure is present, it is good. But when the pleasure is absent, it is bad. So it brings unhappiness when the pleasure goes away. But it is happy when it is there. So both pleasure and pain creates unhappiness. One creates unhappiness when it is not there. The other creates unhappiness when it is there. So both pleasure and pain, if you go after these things, you will be always unhappy. So if you can learn to tolerate pain and be without pleasure, that is how you can learn to be happy. So this is why it is very important to get rid of these hindrances, the desire for pleasure and the hatred of pain. We have to learn to get rid of these reactions to pleasure and pain. And that is the meaning of meditation. So therefore, you practice the meditation and then you will begin to be able to solve all those problems. So practicing the meditation is the ultimate cure for all the problems. So mainly focus on relaxing the body and calming the mind. Relaxing the body and relaxation is not something that you do. It is something that you stop doing. That's the important thing. So try to keep your back straight and then begin to meditate. Keep your back straight. The question here, Sukha is comfort. Passaddhi is relaxation of the body. Happiness in Pali is what is it? I don't know what you call happiness. Happiness, maybe you are thinking of the mental part, that is piti. So, piti is the mental part of the comfort, piti, sukha. So, that is the answer to that problem. Any other problems?
Where is Passaddhi achieved? Where is Passaddhi achieved? In the third jhana heading to the fourth?
No. In the first jhana,
All is there.
you have 5 things: vitakka, vichara, piti, sukha and ekaggata. All 5 in the first jhana. When you go to the second jhana, you have only vichara, vitakka is dropped. There is vichara, piti, sukha, ekaggata. Really, vitakka and vichara both dropped, because both means conceptual thinking. You ask the question and answer the question. Both dropped. And you have priti, sukha and ekaggata in the second jhana. When you come to the third jhana, priti disappears and you have sukha and ekaggata. Then you come to the fourth jhana, you have only ekaggata, but upekka is added. Upekka ekaggata.
So where is Passaddhi? So where is Passaddhi? Passaddhi. Which area in this jhana does Passaddhi come in? It is one of the items in the Satta Bhujanga. But
What is that?
where does Passaddhi come into this?
Passaddhi. Passaddhi. Passaddhi is the relaxation, and with the relaxation comes the sukha. Comfort is coming with the relaxation.
Is it the fruit of anagami? Is it the fruit of anagami heading to arahan? Passaddhi.
Anagami.
Is it the fruit of anagami, the pahala of anagami, heading to the magga of arahan? Magga pala.
Anagami is another thing. We are then talking about the 10 vitakka vichara. Now the samadhi is a different thing. When you get into there we are talking about the 10 fetters, yeah.
Samyojana. 10 fetters.
Yeah. The 10 fetters, sakkayaditthi vichikiච්ඡā sīlabbata paramāsa. When sakkayaditthi vichikiච්ඡā sīlabbata paramāsa, 3 disappear, then you become the sotapanna. Then, of course, the next is kamaraga and patiga. When kamaraga and patiga are reduced, then completely, when they disappear, comes the anagami. So kamaraga and patiga. Kamaraga is the desire for pleasure. Patiga comes with hatred of pain and also anger and things like that. Patiga. When these things disappear, the anagami. Then you are still left with 5 other things. Ruparaga, aruparaga, mana, uddacca, avijja. So the ruparaga is the desire for the visual things, visual desire. Aruparaga is these are what are called the transcendental things. Arupa raga. Mana, uddacca, avijja. Mana is what we can call egoism. That is a certain amount of feeling of self, egoism. Udacha is agitation. And abhijja is the insentience. So it's important to know these things, but the main thing is to learn to get rid of these things. For that, you have to learn to calm the mind and become aware of these things properly. So calming the mind and relaxing the body is the main thing.
Bhante,
Huh?
can a person experience the passaddhi without attaining jhana?
Passaddhi,
Yeah. Can a person experience passaddhi without attaining jhana?
yeah, you have done it when you do the exercises in the morning.
Every morning?
You are experiencing passaddhi, although you have not attained the jhanas.
I was asking.
Huh?
I was asking because to confirm with the bojjhanga, because this relaxation Bhante translated as a relaxation of the body. So that means we already attain bojjhanga without attaining jhana. So that's a bit not clear to me. I don't know.
Yeah. Bojjhanga is simply the process of awakening. That doesn't mean that when your body gets relaxed, you have got into the bojjhanga. That's not it is. You see, if you well, I didn't get the tea.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
The important thing is that if you take something like ice cream, you get a sugar taste. But if you take some sugar into your mouth, you get the sugar taste. So that doesn't mean that you are eating ice cream. Yeah. Yeah. So just relaxing doesn't mean you have entered the jhanas.
This one got no sugar.
Huh?
This one got no sugar.
No sugar in that, huh?
Yes.
Ah, good. No, okay. Thank you.
You drink first, they can wait for a while.
Huh?
You drink first.
What?
You drink first.
Ah.
See what taste you get.
But I don't get the sugar taste here.
Because there's no sugar.
But good.
You want some more?
Huh? You said there is some sugar taste in this.
No.
Yeah.
I say there's no sugar.
No, you said you put something into that, no?
No.
Ah. Okay. So you can put some more tea.
You want some more? Oh, okay.
Okay, thank you. So, any other questions you have?
Bhante, the Sattva,
Huh?
is the Sattva Bhujanga part of Samma Samadhi?
What's that?
Is the Sattva Bhujanga part of Samma Samadhi?
Sapta Bojjanga.
Is it included inside Samma Samadhi?
No, no, no. Samadhi is simply the four jhanas. But Bojjanga is a different thing. Bojjanga is the process of awakening. There is samadhi in the Bojjanga, but just samadhi is not Bojjanga. It is like that sugar taste. Huh?
Bhujanga start?
Huh?
Does Bhujanga start at Samma Sati and then continues beyond Samma Samadhi?
Yeah, Bojjhanga begins with Samma Sati. You see, Bojjhanga is how Samma Sati comes to Samma Samadhi. So now in the supernormal eightfold way, Samma Sati is the seventh step. The eighth step is Samma Samadhi. Samma Sati is the seventh, Samma Samadhi is the eighth. So when you go from Samma Sati, the seventh step to the eighth step, you have to pass through 7 stages. That is the Sapta Bojjhanga. The 7 steps from Sati to Samadhi.
So it spans between 7 and
Huh?
the whole process, the 7 steps spans between number 7 and number 8 then.
Yeah.
Okay.
But when it goes to Samma Sati, from Sati to Samadhi, there is the result of that. You see, this is only the means and the end. The 8 steps in the eightfold way is only the means. You know the meaning of means, huh?
Way, right?
Then after the means, you come to the end. And the end is Panya, Vimukti and Nibbana. That is the end. So it is only when the 8 steps have been completed, then you get Panya, Vimukti and Nibbana. So in order to get the Panya, you have to understand Paticca Samuppada. So that understanding of the Paticca Samuppada is the Panya. And understanding the Paticca Samuppada leads to Nirodha Samapatti. That Nirodha Samapatti is the Vimukti. The Vimukti is the Nirodha Samapatti.
Does the word
Huh?
does the word samapti mean finish?
Huh?
The Pali word samapti, does it mean finish? Samapatti.
Nirodha Samapatti. Huh?
What is the meaning of samapatti?
Samapatti means attaining liberation. Samapatti is the attainment of liberation. You are liberated from the dukkha. Did you understand that? So to be liberated, you have to go through the 7 steps. Now that liberation, there are 2 ways to enter that liberation. That is, to enter the liberation, you have to understand the paticca samuppada. And paticca samuppada is the description of how you create the world and the self and the suffering. You are creating the world, the self, and the suffering. And that is the paticca samuppada. Because when your mind has attained the samadhi properly, that means once you have gone through the 7 steps and your mind has entered the first jhana, the second jhana, the third jhana, and the 4th jhana. In the 4th jhana, your attention goes to the process of perception. So you are not just focusing on the object. You are focusing on the process of perception. You understand? And then you can analyze the process of perception as Rupa, Vedana, Sanya, Sankhar, Vijnana. So that Vedana and Sanya is like the bricks that you put together. Putting the bricks together is Sankhara. And when you put the bricks together, you create the picture. So the picture is the Rupa. And once you have created the picture, then you identify the picture by giving it a name. Name is the Nama, the picture is the Rupa. So that is the meaning of avidya pachya sankhara, from a state of not knowing anything, insentience, not being aware of anything, sankhara begins. Avidya pachya sankhara. Construction begins. And when the construction is completed, there is perception. That is, perception is vijnana. So when you have perceived, what you perceive is the picture and the name. The picture is the Rupa and the name is the Nama. So, Vijnana Pachya Nama Rupam. But that is only a picture that has been produced. So, the picture is not a thing. It is only when you begin to use the other senses, the ears, the nose, the tongue, and the touch. Only by making use of all the five senses and also using the brain to think and construct and identify, the object is created that way. That creation of the object. So, that is what is called phassa. The English word for that is cognition. So you have cognized an existing object. So the object cognized is supposed to exist. And to exist means it is occupying space and time. So the moment the idea of existence comes, you have also got the idea of space and time. So that is the existential thinking. It is something that exists. So once you have constructed the existing object, then the Vedana begins to act. Vedana is the feeling. That object is felt as pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral. So when the object is felt, a desire arises for the pleasant, an aversion or hatred arises for the unpleasant, and the neutral feeling, you just take it as simply existing. That is bhava, that is the lobha, dosa, and moha. Bhava is the moha. And the moment you react, the reaction becomes a subjective experience. The object to which you react becomes an objective experience. So now you have two experiences, a subjective and an objective. And the subjective experience, you begin to call it mine. The desire is mine. The hatred is mine. The feeling of existence is mine. That is personalizing. So when you have personalized, you have created the I. You cannot have a mind without an I. So the moment you say, this is mine, what is mine becomes the I. And that I is also seen as an object. And the I, when seen as an object that occupies space and time, the object that you refer to as I is the body. So the body becomes the I, the self. So the self is the body. That is what is called Sakkaya Ditthi. So when the self becomes the I, that self is existing not only in space but also in time. So if it is existing in time, it has a past, a present, and a future. The past of the body is birth. The future of the body is death. And in between is aging and sickness. So now, by creating the self, you have also created birth, aging, and death of the self. By doing that, you have created grief, lamentation, and pain, depression, and exhaustion, which is the suffering. So you have created suffering by personalizing the reaction. This is why the Buddha said, Sankittena panchupadana khanda dukkha. In short, the personalization of the process of perception is the dukkha. It is by personalizing the process of perception that you create the self, which is born, which grows old and dies, and so produces the suffering, the anguish. So when you have understood this properly through observation of your experience, that observation of the experience becomes possible only at the fourth jhana, provided you have understood the Dhamma. If you have not heard about the Dhamma, even if you enter the fourth jhana, you won't be enlightened. So if you enter the fourth jhana with the knowledge of the Dhamma, you begin to comprehend the paticca samuppada. And that is how you can gain the complete awakening from the dream of existence. But there is another method. That method is you go beyond the fourth jhana and you enter the transcendental state. which is the realm of infinite space, the realm of infinite perception, the realm of nothingness, the realm of neither perception nor no perception, and the cessation of sensation and perception. Sanya Vedaita Nirodha. That means you completely stop the process of perception and you are almost like a dead body. Although you are almost like a dead body, you are not dead. And therefore you can awaken from that state again. When you awaken from that state, the first thing that you come to is neither perception nor no perception. Neva sanya na sanyatana. You come to the neva sanya na sanyatana. Because you are not dead, you can come back again. You awaken from that state. And once you have come to that neva sanya na sanyatana, then you get into akinchanyayatana, which is nothingness. And from nothingness you come to the infinity of perception. Vijnananchayatana. And then you come to the infinity of akinchanya, nothingness. Then you come to the fourth jhana. Then you come to the third jhana. Then you come to the second jhana. Then you come to the first jhana. So when you come to the first jhana, vijnana comes up. And from vijnana, you have become aware of, from a state of not knowing anything, you have become aware. You have perceived. Vijnana is perception. And with perception, you become aware of nama and rupa. And from nama and rupa, you get into salayatana, the 6 spheres. Salayatana. The 6 realms of perception. And then you become aware of how the world and all the objects in the world are created. And that way you gradually get back to the Paticca Samuppada. So that is how you can understand the Paticca Samuppada. That is how the Buddha understood the Paticca Samuppada. And that is how the Arahant Moggallana understood the Paticca Samuppada. But Sariputtas understood the Paticca Samuppada at the fourth jhana. So there are these two ways of understanding the Paticca Samuppada. Either at the fourth jhana or when you come out of the Sanya Vedita Nirodha. So these two ways, understanding at the fourth jhana is called Panya Vimutti. Understanding at the coming out of the Sanya Vedita Nirodha is called Ubato Bhaga Vimukti. So this is a description of the Paticca Samuppada and how you become awakened from the dream of existence. Oh, we have 5 more minutes. So we can take the 8 precepts now.